Have you ever noticed that some people with autism display differences in the way that they process emotional trauma than non-autistic people? Perhaps, while if a non-autistic person is greeted in a social situation, they're being hugged like this, they're like, come here man, and they give them the hug. A person with autism may respond differently. They may go, I'm a bit scared. This may not be trauma related, but it can be. And let me describe how. You know how people with autism get bullied a lot? Well, if during their school experience, if most of the time that people came to approach them was in order to bully them, then of course they would be skeptical when someone steps towards them. It's only natural. So imagine if an autistic person's typical school experience was, the first thing that happens to them is that they get approached by the bully. He goes up into their face, intimidates them, and threatens violence. Then no wonder when that autistic kid grows up, when people come to approach them and they try to hug them, they may be skeptical, they may jump back and be a bit taken off guard. They'll think back to their traumatic experience and be like, I better take guard, I better make sure they don't try and punch me or anything. That's what they think. In an episode of Horrid Henry, which I love to refer to in cases of children with autism, because I believe that Horrid Henry has autism, it's very apparent in the way he behaves, and also how he always gets into trouble like I did back in the day. When he steps on his aunt's wedding gown, she goes to approach him and he thinks he's in trouble because it's a trauma response. He may be fearing that, well, this is due to his parents, not bullies, that he'll get hit or punished for doing the wrong thing. And because he stepped on his aunt's wedding gown, he thought he was going to get punished by her. When she turns around and looks down on him, he flinches like, that's not normal. You're supposed to greet people with warmth if you had a healthy upbringing where you're not bullied for being autistic. Yet poor Henry here was anticipating a punishment like go to your room or you're not going to eat dinner because he made a mistake. We have the expectation that things will go wrong because of our negative experiences in school. If you have autism, you must remember that quote. This statement also holds true in other environments of abuse, like the household, if you are unlucky enough to experience that. But now I will describe how those trauma responses are actually beneficial for some other aspects of your life. And that is all to do with the concept of evolution and the survival of the fittest mentality. Have you ever noticed that people with autism tend to be the most skeptical of new trends? How we are more awake to the issues than most other people, and for example, the Online Safety Act. It is precisely because of the traumatic experiences back in school, you know, the abuse and the bullying, that we are more skeptical of being hurt in other ways, more intelligent ways, i.e. data fraud and internet security, such as internet viruses, the Nigerian print scams, and even being more resilient to the evil forces of big corporations like Big Pharma. While for the baby boomers, the neurotypical baby boomers, who grew up in a gracious 1960s period where there was a flourishing social revolution, and they weren't bullied in school, they had a lot of friends, they don't have many trauma responses to things because they didn't experience much trauma growing up at all. That is why baby boomers seem so out of touch with all of us people, us young people like Gen Zs, like me, who have experienced some of the negative side effects of societal issues. For example, the school system and the lack of funding and the lack of research and development into autism and learning difficulties. The way we were mistreated and misunderstood back in school, resulting in dozens of detentions. Yes, I got so many I can't even count. Just because I behaved differently in certain situations and they didn't like that, and it was against the rules or whatever. The teachers dishing out detentions like dictators, which is why baby boomers believe it when someone is on the phone, posing to be their bank, saying that their bank card has been compromised and that they need to give them their details. And they fall for the scams, the Nigerian print scams, the rich doctor scams, where they say, oh, I need money please, send me £3,000 so I can make it back to the UK and cure your back pain forever, or whatever. We are hardened and conditioned for adult life precisely because of our survival instinct, the survival of the fittest mentality that we have, which by the way, makes us stronger than all of those neurotypicals. Come on guys, rise up! We've had the worst experiences in school being neurodiverse and being bullied because of it. And now we are the strongest people. We can navigate the world so much better than everyone else. But of course, one of the more difficult to manage symptoms of having autism is the lack of social skills. I was diagnosed with Asperger's syndrome 18 years ago, and I displayed a lot of behaviors of emotional distress. I had a lot of tantrums when I was younger. But ever since I was a teenager, I was trying to find my social footing, and through my experiences, I eventually made it to the point where, for the last 5 years, no one has been able to tell that I have autism on first impression when I meet them. Therefore, I am treated just like everyone else in the social setting, without being discriminated against for my autism. And so therefore, if you struggle with social difficulties, I'm offering you help. I'm a training neurodiversity coach, and I was diagnosed 18 years ago with Asperger's syndrome, therefore having overcome a lot of the hurdles that come with it. If you would like my help, please learn more in the link in the description. Watch the video and I'll help you there. With my life experience, I am here to prove to you that anything is possible if you have high functioning autism, which millions of us people have, but we haven't done anything about it to change it, to overcome the difficulties associated with it, and most importantly, being your authentic self in social situations and coming across as completely genuine, like I am. I don't mask anymore. I just practice certain social skills, which initially is masking and it is emotionally taxing, but once you incorporate it into your behavior, you basically rewire the brain. Remember, autism is just a difference in the neural pathways in your brain. You can easily form new habits by stepping out of your comfort zone into uncomfortable situations, just like I have demonstrated here. And if you want me to take your hand, guide you through the processes of overcoming your social difficulties from start to finish and come out the other end as a reformed cool guy, then click the link in the description below. Thank you so much for listening, take care, and I'll see you in the next video.